name is Harriet Chibuta, Executive Director of Young Women in Action, a youth-led, youth-focused organization that works to empower young women in the areas of sexual and reproductive health and rights, gender and development, socioeconomic empowerment, as well as participation in decision-making and political processes. And with regards to participation of young women in decision-making and political processes, there are a lot of challenges. The first one I'll talk about is confidence. A lot of young women do not have the confidence to participate. This stems from the way we've been socialized, the social norms that we have in society. So the young women just don't have that confidence to stand up and talk about issues to do with the development of their communities, because women from time immemorial have been told leadership is for the male. You should be seen and not heard. Another challenge that young men are facing currently is issues of finances. I think we are all aware that unemployment in Zambia unemployment rate is very high, and also this affects young people and in particular young women. So when you talk about lack of finances, we're looking at adoption fees and many fees that the young people have to pay to participate in political engagements. So some of these challenges really hinder the young women from participating. Another one is violence. So this is both physical and online violence. And with the coming of COVID-19, everybody's on their phones. So, they're just looking to name shame young women and just pull them down. And this has also been noticed from fellow women, unfortunately. So there is need to advocate and lobby for women to change their perspective on women leadership. And when we talk about changing of perspectives, there's need to also talk to traditional and religious leaders, which Young Women in Action and many other civil society organizations are embarking on, but then there's still need for more work. We also need interventions with regards to adoption of candidates for instance, 2021 elections that are coming, that are just around the corner. Another challenge that the young women are facing is poor coverage by the media. You'll find that half the time there's a young woman who's an aspiring candidate for any political position. The kind of information that you find in the media is very negative. It's either they're asking about silly questions like, marriage, if the person has children or not, how many spouse or how many people the person is sleeping with, which are really, really irrelevant and do not play a role in someone bringing development to a community. So there's actually a lot of need to just talk about social norms that perpetuate violence against women and girls, because lack of representation is also actually a violation of human rights. I think we're all aware that all the protocols and pieces of legislation that Zambia has signed and ratified speak to a 50-50 representation. Our constitution talks about 50-50 representation. So if we do not have women in these political spaces, then we're violating the rights of these people, we're violating the constitution and many other pieces of legislature and instruments that we've signed or partied to. The stigma attached to women participating in politics. So Harriet cannot participate in politics without being labeled so many names. If you ask a spouse, a husband, or a boyfriend, they'll most definitely not be interested in hearing a story of how this young lady wants to participate in politics or wants to become the president of the country, because there's been so much stigma around it, so many negative stories and information just flying around political engagements. Lastly, I think there's also just need to sensitize various stakeholders, such as the religious leaders, traditional leaders, the leaders in our communities, to be acceptant to the fact that women can lead, women can participate. So this calls for sensitization, massive sensitization. So what WILSA as well as other civil society organizations can do or should embark on, firstly, is to ensure that during the elections and in the political parties, during the adoption process, we are very much present and advocate for women to be adopted. Otherwise, we're not going to see a change in the women, in the 50-50 representation that we're actually, pushing for.